Today we are looking at the Exway Atlas V2. Now, I'm just going to pause right there and explain something really quickly. They're calling this the V2, but I'm going to be super honest with you and say there's not that many changes to warrant the name, I think. I am going to look at this more as a reintroduction. I feel like the Atlas has been a little bit forgotten in the last year and a half, but it's still an incredible platform. And they've made some tweaks and they've given it a little bit more power and they've given it a little bit more range and a couple of little extra inclusions. But I don't know, I've been riding this for about a week now and it just reminded me how much I enjoy the way this board rides, performs, handles, all that sort of jazz. Now I've got the 4-wheel drive model. It comes in 4-wheel drive and 2-wheel drive. And I think there's a very clear decision you need to make when you buy this board. Do you want just absolute raw power or do you want range? If you go for the standard 4-wheel drive model without the auxiliary pack, you're looking at about 30 kilometers if you're not pushing it too hard. If you go for the 2-wheel drive model, you're looking at a lot more range on top of that. But that's all I wanted to say. Let's go and ride the V2 Atlas around the streets of Brisbane. It is a beautiful morning here in Brisbane, Sunday morning. There's going to be a whole heap of runners and people and bikes, but we'll make our way around. Comments, questions, chuck them down below. If I've got any discount codes, I always lose track of them with Exway. I'll put it here on the screen. It should be Scott D, but sometimes it's something different. So I'll work out what it is and I'll put it on the screen. Side note, I've got a cold, so if you hear me sniffing, I apologize. I'll try not to. I know it's gross.
Scotty.
Morning. Alright, so the first thing to talk about, the length is about 48 inches, so it is a nice long platform for you to stand on. They're claiming a load limit of 350 kilos. I feel like that's the strongest I've read anywhere. So 350 kilos load limit for the Atlas V2. Coming in just over 16 kilos, so about 16.5 I think it is. So it's a decent weight, that's for the 4-wheel drive. Now, my favorite part about the Atlas are its trucks. These Trish trucks are forged 10.5 inch, double kingpin, and they just do a really, really nice job. And they use this really clever bushing setup where it's this nice fat cone, sorry, nice fat barrel on the board side, and then the cone on the road side, cupped washers. It just does a really nice job. What we've got upside down, bash plates front and rear for the 4-wheel drive model. You've got Hobbywing motors, Hobbywing ESC. Now these motors are 4240, that's right, and they are 160 kV. So good acceleration, good speed. They just tuck in there nicely, and by going by that smaller motor, it just keeps that weight down just that little bit extra. Now in here you've got 2 Hobbywing ESCs. That's so embarrassing, I can't believe I've still got that on. Find a bin. And in there is 50 amps each. So basically that's 50 and 50, so you got 25, 25, 25, 25. Now, something that's really nice with the Atlas, and it's the same with most boards these days, but it's really obvious on the 4-wheel drive ones, and that's the braking power. They stop so well. Now, obviously 2-wheel drive will not be as strong, but it's still very good. Those 4.2, whatever the motors were, they do a really nice job of accelerating and braking. It's the carve and the turning that makes this board so enjoyable. I am pushing that back pretty hard though. I reckon I'm gonna come off at some point today. Woo. has a really nice sound to it as well with those 4 motors. It was really fat. I don't know if you can see just here. These really nice fat Exway belts. I really appreciate a nice belt. All right, quick little turn-in test, circle test on the basketball court. Woo. Oh. Oh. So turns on a dime, but obviously you'd expect that being double kingpin. Toe side. Oh. It just feels nice. Like they do their bushings really well, Exway. And those Trish trucks, whew, they are lovely. All right, let's talk about the battery. It is a 12S4P, and what they're saying is it's a domestic battery cell. What that means, I don't know. I've gone through the website, I've looked at the literature. I can't see an obvious name. It does seem to perform well. I've taken the battery from 100 to 0 a number of times, and there isn't much sag. Probably the last 15% you get a little bit, but other than that they do seem to perform quite nicely. As far as range, I am getting pretty close to what they advertise. They are saying 39 kilometers. I'm getting like 30, but that's pushing it reasonably hard, and I always leave it in turbo mode, so I guess that's not bad. I was getting less than that on the old board. So on the original Atlas 12S4P, I would get about 22 kilometers, and this definitely gets more than that, which is good, because 22 I was getting Ubers home after going flat, which was always disappointing. Atlas V2, it's made by Exway, so it is built to a standard. It's built really, really well. Everything's sort of put together. There's no rattles. Out of the box, it was perfect, which is a big deal these days. You know, the amount of boards that I receive that need something tightened or need something loosened, or, you know, I had one arrive recently, the back wheel wouldn't even turn because the belt was that tight. These boards do seem to go through a good QC process. Remote control is the R3. As far as aesthetics, this is the big difference for how the board looks. That aux connector is now standard on top of the board, and I am extremely happy about that, because when I put my aux lid onto my original Atlas, it completely stuffed the board up. The fact that they're fitting this now from standard, for me personally, is a massive, massive tick, because if you get this and you want to have insane range, like over 100 kilometers, you're gonna get the aux pack. Whoa. Let's summarize the Atlas V2. Yes, it is a good electric skateboard, but it always was. The small, subtle changes they've made, yes, they've added to the board, they've made it even better, which is a good thing. You know, it still carves beautifully. It has better range now. It has that aux port already on, built in, so a lot less headaches having to install that yourself. R3 remote, comfortable, absolutely zero disconnects, which is always a fantastic thing with electric skateboards. That new GAN charger, for me, is a big win. Such a nice add-on to have. Whew. And yes, the question I know you're all wanting to know, does it have tank mode? Yes, double tap of the remote control enters it, single tap will take it out. Just a fun thing to have. Absolutely no point in having tank mode except for fun. All right, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Let's end it there. Don't forget, comments, questions, chuck them down below. Scott D at checkout should give you a discount. That's it. Thank you so much for watching. Skate safe, wear a helmet, and we'll see you next time.
Scotty. Who's Scotty?